Hello and welcome to Behind Mentoo, a podcast where we dive deep into the making of a very powerful documentary that sheds light on a rather neglected subject in today's society: domestic abuse amongst men. My name is Vinnie and today I will be your host, and I'm joined by Olayemi Izevbekhai. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vinnie. It's a pleasure to be here and to share the journey of this important project.
Thank you. Now, let's start from the beginning. What inspired you to make Mentoo?
For so long, conversations around domestic abuse are focused mainly on women, and rightly so. But as I started to listen to stories of people around me, my families, my friends, individuals I encountered, I realized something. Men who are abused often stay silent. They're either invincible or ridiculed whenever they try to speak up. That's really where Mentoo was born, out of the need to give these men a voice and to shine a light on their struggles.
In the film, you personally interviewed victims of domestic abuse. That must have been challenging. How did you go about that?
The first challenge we faced was actually finding men who were willing to share their experiences. A lot of them have never spoken up about their struggles before. Some agreed to speak to us, but on one condition: that they remain anonymous, usually out of fear of stigma, judgment, or even for their safety. It was such a delicate process, and creating a safe, empathetic space was absolutely key. To make sure that we handled it responsibly, we work with counselors, therapists, and advocacy groups who support male survivors. They helped us ask the right questions with sensitivity, and they also gave us valuable insights into the psychological and physical aspects of abuse.
Now, I also want to know, how did you and your team go about managing the victims during filming? Because reliving such events on camera must have been challenging, to say the least.
Absolutely, we took their emotional well-being seriously while filming. We spent time preparing them, making sure that they felt safe and understood the process. During the documentary, we also had counselors and support networks on standby, and afterwards, we also contacted them, made sure that everything was fine. And because for us, it's not just about the film, we wanted to make sure that they didn't feel abandoned afterwards as well.
That's very powerful. Now, from your perspective, how do you believe the victims will ever be able to overcome the stigma that comes with being domestically abused as a man?
Some are still on the journey, but many told us that sharing their stories was liberating. The stigma is real. Men are often told to man up, that their pain isn't valid, but the act of speaking up gave them a sense of empowerment. My hope is that this documentary helps shift how society sees male survivors, making it easier for them to come forward without being afraid.
Now, I'd like to talk about your team as well, because behind such a powerful film must have been a very dedicated group of individuals. Could you talk to me about Olayemi and the team as a whole that managed to bring Mentoo to life?
I was truly blessed with an incredible team. While I focused on coordinating the interviews and making sure participants felt safe, it was really a full team effort. I want to give a big shout out to my producer Munga and our cinematographer Ayoola and the rest of my amazing crew. They worked tirelessly on this project. We traveled to different cities to meet survivors where they felt comfortable, which was exhausting but absolutely necessary to tell these stories. For us, it wasn't just filmmaking, it was a mission. And I think the care and dedication of this whole team really shines through the final film.
One of the striking things about Mentoo is how personal it feels. I want to know, how did you balance storytelling with bearing the weight of representing these voices?
Honestly, the balance was probably the hardest part. These weren't just stories for film, they were real lives, full of pain and resilience. I had to keep reminding myself all the time that being respectful was far more important than trying to make anything more dramatic or sensational.
What impact do you hope that Mentoo will have on the audience and society as a whole?
My hope is that Mentoo challenges stereotypes surrounding domestic abuse and opens a broader conversation. Too often, men feel ashamed or ignored when they are abused, and that needs to change. I want this film to spark empathy, get people talking honestly, and inspire policy changes so that support is easier to access for every survivor, no matter their gender.
Before we wrap up, what was the biggest lesson you personally took away from directing Mentoo?
That silence can be as damaging as violence itself. Many men endured abuse in silence because they feared stigma or not being believed. The biggest lesson for me was the power of listening and the importance of breaking the silence.
Well, thank you very much for coming. It's been very insightful to hear all of that. This has been Behind Mentoo. My name is Vinny, and thank you for listening.